Hello. Today I wanted to do a quick lesson in how to crochet. I teach lessons locally and I wanted to provide opportunity to have a review for my students as well as anyone out there on the internet who would like to learn how to crochet just like I do. So let's go ahead and get started. To crochet, to get started, you really need just a hook and some yarn. Just pick up something simple like Red Heart Super Saver or Renat Super Value and a mid-sized hook, and then you can get started practicing. The first thing that you'll need to know is a slip knot to get started. This will give you a loop to start your chain. So to do a slip knot, you can wrap it around your finger once, loosely, and then pull it back up through just the loop so that you create a single loop with a tail attached to your ball of yarn. Now this will stretch, it will get bigger or smaller depending on which tail you pull on. Let me show it again. Closer up. So I'm going to wrap it around a finger and then back through. Like you're tying a regular knot, except there's no tail that comes through. One more time. Wrap it around and back through. Pull that up. There's your slip knot. Now this slip knot you're going to put on your hook. And then you are going to tighten it enough that it doesn't fall off your hook, but it also is still able to slide. All of your loops will need to be that way in your chain. Tight enough that they don't fall off the hook, but loose enough that you can pull through them, because this hook is going to need to fit through all of those chains. So we'll get started with our chaining now that we've got our slip knot. What we are going to do is a movement called a yarn over. So keeping this knot down underneath your hook, you use this yarn that's attached to your ball or your skein to yarn from back to front over your hook. And then you use your hook to pull that yarn through your chain and up. So you've got two loops now, one down here and one still on your hook. You yarn over again. Pinch the bottom so that it doesn't get away from you and twist. And pull the hook through. One thing I think is the trickiest about learning to crochet is figuring out how to hold everything. Because you have to hold this yarn tight enough, you have to hold your hook, and then you have to keep this from twisting. And then you have to keep the proper tension on everything. So as you crochet, as you practice your chaining and all your stitches, then you will eventually figure out the way that works best for you for holding the yarn tight, holding the hook, and pinching the chain, or controlling the piece that you're working on. So what I'd like you to do to get comfortable with everything is to just chain and chain and chain. Now you can wrap and pull through. You can use this hand to wrap and then pull through. Or if you're able to hold this tight enough with your fingers, you can use your hook to kind of scoop and pull through. See what works best for your hands And you may even change it later as you get more comfortable. But you figure out a way that works for you to yarn over, use the hook to pull through the loop. I'll show it this direction as well so you can see my hook. I turn my hook just ever so slightly because it wasn't straight up. I turn it ever so slightly to catch that yarn, and then it fits through that other chain. So showing that again from this angle, I hook the yarn, turn slightly to pull through. Now you'll also notice, if you're looking closely, that these chains are kind of like an upside down teardrop shape. So they're skinnier at the bottom than they are at the rounded top. And I find it easiest to get my hook through, not this side, but this opening at the skinny bottom. So that's another reason to turn the hook slightly as you chain, that you can use that turn to lock in the yarn that you catch, but also to dive through and pull up that chain. So there's chaining. Get some practice with your chaining, get comfortable, and then come right back here and I will show you single crochet. Now that you're comfortable with your chaining, let's move on to single crochet. You will start with a base chain. I have a chain of 11. That means there's really 10 chains, and this is number 11 here on the hook. When you're working in single crochet, you'll want to have one more than your starting row that you want to be. So if you want to have 10 stitches across in each row, if you want your piece to be 10 stitches wide, you'll need to chain 11 because this first one will go into the chain here. There's always one less outcome than your chain. So we can't go into this stitch right here because that's where I'm coming out of. This hook is coming out of this chain right here. So we can't go back into that. But you are going to dive into each chain down the row, doing a single crochet in each one to create your base row. Now, there is a front side and a back side to your chain. This is the back. It looks kind of like a braid. You see there are 2 loops with a bump down the middle. If I show it to the side, you can kind of see that it's bumpy. The front, you just really see the 2 loops. Focus problems here. Okay, you just see the 2 loops, the 2 sides of the loop here. And if I hold it this way, you can see this is flatter on top. That is the front. The flat side is the front. The bumpy side is the back. Most patterns will instruct you to use the front side of your chain. Occasionally, there will be one that will say to use the back bumps or the back side of the chain, and that is when you use that. But that's for another day. Today is single crochet. We're going to just learn in the front. So we're going to go in through front to back through this chain. We're going to dive through the middle. And I'm going to do that yarn over movement that we were doing in our chain and pull through just like we did in our chain. But we still have this loop over here. So we're going to do another yarn over, and this time we pull through both of those loops. And that is your first stitch. And that is what you are going to do all the way down the chain. So I went into this one, so I have to go in this one next. Dive in front to back, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through both, all the way down. Next one right here. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go through and yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Dive through, yarn over, and 2. So we go through, yarn over 1, yarn over 2. Yarn over 1, pull through 1, yarn over second time, pull through 2. We do this all the way down the chain. And then this last stitch that has your slip knot is your last chain to go through. Make sure you go through that one. Don't skip it or you'll have a funny tail on your piece. Okay, so that is your first row. To get to the next row, to start your next row, you are going to chain 1. So yarn over, pull through 1 time, and then we flip this piece, like turning the page of a book. And we're going to work down the other side. Working in crochet right-handed, you will always, unless the pattern says otherwise, generally work from right to left. So once you've worked right to left all down your chain, you have to flip it so that you can work right to left again. Now this time, it's going to look a little bit different than when you were working into your chain. Here, you have these spaces to go through underneath the top of your chain, your row. So your single crochet stitch has like 2 legs and a belt, we'll say. And this is the top of your stitch. It looks like the front of your chain. You're going to want to go through under it. So there's a hole, if you stretch it out and you look between, there's holes in between each one, and you're going to go under and treat that as one. And again, there are patterns that will say to use only one of those loops, but that's not when you're learning the basics. That is for another day. So I've done my single crochet row, and then I'm going to flip it and work down the other side. So going underneath, here's my first loop. I can't go in where I chained, so I'm going to go in this first loop, go under both, treat it as one, yarn over, pull through 1 time. I have 2 loops on my chain, or on my hook here. Then I yarn over again and pull through both. And we do that all the way across. We go through this hole, yarn over, pull through 1 time, yarn over, pull through a 2nd time. So we'll go all the way across, continuing to work underneath both of these loops until you reach the end. I recommend knowing how many stitches are in your row so that you make sure to do the same amount each time. That will help you to make sure that you're going all the way to the end of the row, not skipping any or adding any. So mine is 10. This is stitch number 9. Now the last stitch you might think looks a little bit funny and be tempted to skip it because it's a little bit sideways, a little bit up. You got to make sure you go into it. So it's still got these 2 loops for you to go under, like the top of your chain. So you might need a finger to help you push through it. So again, yarn over, yarn over. All right, there's 2 rows of single crochet. Now, you're going to do the same thing that you just did over and over until your piece is the length that you want it to be, or you're happy with practicing and ready to pull it out and move on to your next project. All right, so again, you chain 1 and turn it like the page of a book. Flip it over. And again, we're just going to work through. Here's our first hole right here. Yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through two, all the way across. So I'll just show that a little bit more. Now there is no shame in letting your finger help you. You do it how you need to do it until you're comfortable. All right, there you are. Once you are comfortable single crocheting and chaining, there is so much more that you can do with a hook and yarn. I'll have lots more tutorials here for you to learn more to keep crocheting even more in the future. Thank you for watching and crocheting with me. I hope you'll like this video, subscribe for more, and follow me on socials at greenhookstudio. Thanks for watching.